Our coverage of the presidential race continues. Right now, CBS News projecting former President Donald Trump as the winner with 276 electoral votes.
And there's a lot to look at with these results, including how Trump outperformed in several swing states. For some expert analysis, let's bring in Dr. Suzanne Chod, political science professor at North Central College. Thanks so much for being with us this morning to kind of help break down these results. I want to get right to the first question. You know, compared to President Biden in the 2020 election, Vice President Harris lost support among women in this election, plus Latino voters and younger voters. What are your thoughts on these shifts and another woman at the top of the ticket losing?
Yeah, you bring up so many important things here. And I think what I will start with actually brings them both together, which is that Hillary Clinton in 2016, we know that gender was an independent factor why she lost in those blue wall states, those Rust Belt states. And that one of the reasons Biden was able to gain traction, especially with women, voters of color, was because they weren't willing to, for reasons, discriminatory reasons, to vote for a woman, vote for Clinton maybe specifically. Biden picked up in those areas to win slim, but win in those states. Now we have a woman and a woman of color at the top of the ticket. And so we see here how gender, and also sort of looking at intersectionally gender and her other racial ethnic identities, could have been a factor, most likely was a factor, in shrinking back some of those wins that Biden was able to get in 2020. And I think it's especially important to note that while across the board, you know, her Democratic support from Latino voters, from young male voters is down, nationally she still won with those voters, but in those important swing states, she did lose to Trump in those demographic, in those identity categories. And so it's, again, looking at the states where the shift's happening.
All right, well, things move so fast, so we're already looking ahead. The Senate has flipped to Republican control. The House is still up in the air, but looks like Republicans could control by a narrow margin. With that, also a conservative majority in the Supreme Court. What do you think this means for the shift of power and really the conservative agenda under Trump?
Yeah, I mean, the margin of the majority in the House is critical here. So if the House is able to stay in Republican control, it's likely to have the same margin it has now, which is incredibly slim. But with a Republican in both of the other chamber in Congress and in the White House, you know, depends on whether those House members who barely won seats in those Republican districts are going to go along with a more conservative agenda, as they think, because they're already thinking 2 years ahead for their reelection. I mean, they're literally running for reelection again, and they're just reelected this time. So I think a lot of it has to do with what is the margin, and if those members are they likely to win in the midterm, to see if they'll kind of rubber stamp whatever the agenda is that the president, and then if the Senate goes along with it, see what that looks like.
Let's talk about the popular vote and the fact that Trump is on top there too. And do you think voter turnout overall made the difference here?
Yeah, this, I will say, is the biggest surprise. We knew the election could have been either super tight or it could have been all the swing states to one candidate or all to the other because of the way that things were polling. But I think for me, and for those of us who forecast or try to forecast elections, is that the running up of the popular vote for President Trump was surprising. And I think we see this because he ran up the vote in rural areas, but he also ran up the vote in Florida and Ohio that were already expected to go to him. So it's not like it affects the Electoral College. But even in states like Illinois and in New York that go blue, that there were more Republican voters. And so what I think it sends a message is that there was excitement, regardless from where it was coming, to vote for President Trump that we didn't see in 2020 or in 2016 because he lost the popular vote in those cases.
Dr. Suzanne Chod, political science professor at North Central College, thank you for your insight and your analysis. We appreciate you joining us on a very busy morning the day after the election.
Yeah, same to you all. Thank you so much.